Alright. Should be able to hear me. I think I have all the lights on correctly and stuff. I do see a nice layer of dust on top of the magnifying glass, but the last time I cleaned that off, I actually made it worse somehow. Visually. Adding more reflections and stuff. Today, somehow, reflections are gone. I don't know how that happened. It's the exact same lights, the exact same positions, and literally everything else. but there's somehow less reflections today. Again, I don't know why, but it is what it is. Hey, Cotton, how's it going? For giggles, do you want to explore the new music player thing I have? So for context, the music I use, it's a subscription thing where I pay money, and as a content creator I get access to stuff that, like, I have the license right to use, and the place I have that through merged with another place and changed how they do things a little bit, and added a bunch of new stuff and features and songs and genres of songs and stuff. So I have access to way more things, and right now I'm just playing stuff I've already found, but there's this new feature where I can input a prompt and it will spit out some song recommendations. And I've tried it a few times. Those songs are actually pretty good. So if you got a prompt suggestion, I could put it in and we see what songs it spits out and see if they're any good. Oh, that sucks. Hopefully it's something you can easily fix. I know a lot of building plastic model kits is how good you are at fixing mistakes or broken things, more so than building it correctly in the first place. And it just comes with the territory of you sort of just have to learn all that as you go. Because who in the right mind is going to practice breaking things and repairing them, right? I can't even begin to imagine buying a kit specifically just to break it and repair it. Alright, let's see if this does what I think it will. Okay, so you can sort of see the player here. Bear with me. I can't see the stream feed now, but so if I go over here, playlists, which I think you can see this part, and you'll see there's some other stuff here. For example, here is intro theme for Space Viking Dragon. Now I've titled these playlists I made to have the prompt as the title. So for example, this song right here, Indifferenza by Sound, I don't know how to pronounce that other word. I say Quelle, but I'm sure that's totally wrong. Anyway, this song's really good, surprisingly. That's why there's a heart sign next to it, because I added it to my favorites. It's really good. I was looking for an intro theme, so the hypothetical here is, you know, a song to play during an intro to my stream, you know, for the starting soon screen, where in this hypothetical I have come up with some really cool visual sequence that takes place. Maybe it has sound effects, maybe it doesn't, for what I ultimately want to have for my channels, you know, like the spaceship and whatever. And so the hypothetical for this prompt is that it knows that it's for a space Viking dragon and whatever. So this song's actually pretty good to fit that purpose. While that plays just for giggles, I'll search something here. So what's a good prompt? Let's see. So I've searched chill vibes for building model kits. And I'll click view all here. And it shows a bunch of results. So next, let's see here. Add to playlist, create playlist. Then I'll just add all these different songs to that playlist. Now it's on a playlist, because the way these prompts work is that you can't go back to them, right? So the idea is that if I make a playlist, then I can access them. So now I can go to playlists. Oh look, there's the playlist. And it looks like... Oh, hold on. Wrong playlist somehow. There we go. So it looks like it added them in a weird order. Or sorted them weirdly. I don't know. Okay. So now I'll just play freebies, I guess. I'll enable shuffle. But that gives an idea of how that works. So, like I said, if anyone has a suggestion for a prompt to put in, I'll totally do it. You can just say that in chat, or if you're in a Discord server, there's a channel I have for music, you can put it there as well. And I'll just input that prompt and we'll see what it comes up with. Because there's so much new music. I think there's 3 or 4 times the amount of new music as part of this merger thing. And it's all stuff that in types of genres that you just wouldn't have, that I wouldn't have had access to otherwise through this service. Okay, so we'll see if that's any good. Okay, so we're here for backpack assembly. And next, we go here. Now there will be, I think it's what, 3 to 4 pages of this stuff. And so my goal is to go ahead and get out all the parts for the entirety of the assembly section. Now it does look like they break it down to sections. We've got backpack unit assembly, then we have wing unit assembly. I'll be honest, I don't know why those are separate. But whatever. I will do all the backpack unit stuff in one thing, so on and so forth. All right. So if we start with this runner. Let me see if this is used anywhere else in this at all. It's looking like it isn't used at all for any of the rest of it. Okay. Also looks like K2 is not used. Yeah, okay, so that's that done. see here. L1 red. Number 6. I've got that here. So today I won't be going for super duper ultra long. I want to give myself enough time to eat dinner and prepare other things I need to prepare for work tomorrow. Alright. We'll see if there's any more used in this runner before I Yep, L111 is used twice. Then L211 is used twice. Okay. That's later on. Trying to figure out the fastest way to do all of this as well. Okay, so this first step, we still need D17, D something over. Do I need C anywhere? No. I need Devo, so here it is. 17. Is this part? And that's it for now. I need something from B, B8, this part. Don't need anything else from this runner, so I'll put it back. If I'm correct, the rest of the parts are from H1 and 2. Which is black. Here's H2. I haven't had to use it before, so it was still in the runner bag. Okay. So we've got H210 right here. This song's really cool so far. Oh! Yeah, I've heard this song, the original. In fact, it's supposed to be part of my playlist. One of my existing playlists, so. This is really cool though. I didn't know this version existed. Okay, let me see if these next parts are exactly the same or not. I think it's exactly the same, therefore it doesn't matter which one is used where. Alright. That should be all the parts for VBAC unit, if I'm correct. So here it is, VBAC unit, backpack assembly form. Let's put that over here, I guess. Now we can start parts of the wing unit assembly. I will try my best to show the step I'm getting things from as I go, but maybe a bit difficult for me to remember each single time. That's the downside of having a small surface area in which I can show things blown up. Anyway, so looks like we can continue with the H runners. So I'll go back to H2 here, and I'll get out everything from H2 at once, or something. So we need H228, which is right here. Can barely see it because of where I'm having to position stuff. Okay. And I need 27, which, wouldn't you guess it, is right next to it. It's totally different from... No, it's exactly the same. Okay, never mind then. Oh, because it's 4. It's 4x. Okay, that's why I need to use it twice. Okay. There we go. So then H114 would be used there. Not sure why H214 isn't. It does specify H114. Okay, then I need 2 of these. Wait. Oh, because it is. Okay, that's fair. Crap. Okay, so I'm gonna need to use other containers for some of this, I think. How annoying. I don't know how I want to do this. Man, I really don't know how I want to do this. I hate when things get a bit more complex. Because you have to set things apart, right? So anyway, this is 4x. So I think what I'll do here is I'll just go ahead and get all the parts for this one step and put it all in one thing. I think that is what I will do. Let's see here. So the only other parts I've gotten out are H225. Music, where are you going? Why are you not continuing to play? You can't convince me I play for every single one of these. Okay, you know what? I'm disabling shuffle. Okay. It should hopefully now be actually properly playing songs I haven't heard yet. Anyways, you're saying this part, so that goes there. Okay, so now I'll just get out all the parts for this step right here. Okay, so on the H1, I need 28 and 27. Okay. The next was H14, of which there are 4, and 4 are what I need specifically for this step. Let's go ahead and get out each one of these. So big they don't even fully fit in the thing, that's funny. Oh, whatever. I'll start on one side here. Alright, that's all 4 of these. Snacked up is something from G and something from B. So we'll get the ones from B first. And it's saying B25. 4 of those. Out of the 8 total. So there's 2. Then so that's all 4. So next up is G46, which it says is gold. So let's see. Here it is. G46. There's 2 here, which means both runners are needed for this. Right. Okay, so that should be all the parts for this. Okay. Let's see here then. Go ahead and put the container over to the side. Build another container. So it looks like these go onto this. So I will go ahead and put it this way here. So go back to, what is it? Yep. So it's H2 and 1. Where did I put the other thing? It's already in a container. Well, we'll do that one. Then there it is. So next up is H214 of which I need 2. Okay. I also need 26. So go ahead and grab that as well. Then I need 526 from this one too. So go ahead and grab that. Right. C30, I need 2 of those. I need L111. Okay. So the last thing I need is B24 and B25. So we got B24 here, and I need 2 of these, it says. Then I need 2 of the B25s that are remaining. That should be all the parts. All the stuff's up for here. Alright. So let me... Looks like... we need 23 and 24. And nothing else. Okay. And I get these two parts out and it indicates that it's the last parts for the scene running, which is indeed the case. So hooray for that. There we go. Need L211. Okay, need these other two 24s, and the other two 25s. Don't really know how to angle these. There we go. Only two more parts left. Maybe I need them in this section, maybe I don't. Okay, so next... need something for an 8x. So I'll say that's it for that. Okay, it needs a lot from the G runners, so we'll start with that, I guess. It wants the 41 and 42. Okay, so I'm basically adding an interior structure that shows some parts from underneath while also reinforcing. Okay. That shouldn't be too hard. I need these 4 parts. Cool. Now I just need the parts from the eye runners. pt6 is gonna be fun. So there's gonna be 4 of each on each. So it doesn't matter which one I get out where. Unfortunately, these also look like they could be panel lined. But right now I'm just a bit too tired. I'm not gonna panel line these right now. If I ever do. Alright, that's all of that. So then lastly, we need to deal with these. It looks like it wants to be its own thing. I think that's the last... Yes, this is the last thing for... that I make. So we'll have that be in its own runner thing. Specifically, It wants 45, 48. Oh, I need 2 G45s. That explains why there's 2 of them. I need 48 and 47. 43. So 17 and 44 aren't used for this. I believe 17 was for the hand. I don't know if 44 is as well. But those are the ones I haven't used yet. And that's where they would be used. There we go. Now I need that from the other runner. Alright, to my knowledge, that is all the parts from, yeah, so that's all the parts for the back assembly. These are all the way back to here, where we can prep all of these parts now. Yay! I don't know if it's the music or what, but I'm starting to feel really tired. So I'm going to take a very quick break. I may change music when I get back to what I normally play instead. We shall see. Anyway, I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do another prompt thingy, I guess. So I'll pull this up so you guys can see what I'm doing, just for giggles. So you're not sitting there wondering what the heck I'm doing. Let's see here. What? No! That's stupid. There we go. You all. Some of these are already my favorites. Alright, let's start adding these to playlist. Actually, no, I won't. Let's play them all right here, I don't care. Alright. The hope is that that's wakes me up a bit better. Okay. So I'm really tired of having this be off the page, or the table. So we'll do that here real quick. Okay, it's time to... Let's see here, I don't need this. I guess I'll put this here so you can see. But I clean this, but it's still a bit dirty. Okay. Okay, I'm not going to be able to get us. We'll put it over here. So next, I need to clear out the undergates. That high-pitched whine got me. It sounds exactly like a tea kettle whistling. Briefly. I think I'll go ahead and prep with hobby knife. Since there's only like 4 parts I actually need to prep with the hobby knife. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say these parts are already fine. Just these were the undergates. In fact, unless it's a really bad cut, I only want to use hobby knife and undergates going forward. The whole point of the God Hand is that it can do so much. So unless it's really obviously a very bad cut that just visually looks bad, is uneven or whatever, or isn't sticks out like you don't want. But other than that, I'm not gonna cut. Except for undergates. And while I could use the PN120 to work on undergates, I don't think I should. But at the same time, it also means that there's nothing to use it for, which is kind of annoying. Like, I know logically I should be using it, but at the same time I don't want to. Because I know it's expensive and I'm using it in a way I'm not supposed to. But I did get it for free, so I guess I could justify it from that perspective. Oh, I've heard this song before. Is it another prompt result from a search I did? Don't know why I was putting all these parts into here, what the heck? I'm not tired at all. Not a wink. Okay. You know, I said I wasn't going to panel line. Well, I think I should panel line. And that I'll regret it if I don't. That does mean this is going to be even more annoying. But if I don't panel line first, then it won't dry. Okay. Doesn't help that there's... Okay, so...
I'm going to find the promised land.
I need to look and see what's doing here, because it does do some metallic sticker stuff. So on this right here and this right here, there's metallic sticker. So center thingy right there, these right here, etc. No metallic sticker. Okay, that's all I need to know for right now. Alright then. $16 of these to panel line, by the way. Alright, that's all, what was it, 16 parts. Panel line. Now I can resume. Alright, that's the gold parts. Next up, the parts I panel lined. Is also why I had them separately. Okay, is there undergain? Yep, there's undergain. Cool! Well, that's something I'll get to deal with. I wonder how many of these undergates I can just take care of with this. I'm not gonna bother taking care of undergates with this one. The problem is it also means it's a waste of time to even use this for these. Interesting, go to put this song here. It's a good song though. All of these will need to be undergated. Or the undergate will need to be removed from all of these. I'll get used to the height difference eventually. If this was lower, it might help. Oh, for this kit? I'm sure that helps make him even sturdier, though. This is gonna be annoying. Now I gotta go for every single one of these parts. Deal with the undergating. If it's only 200 gates, that'd be amazing. It's free. Screw it, let's get out the PN 120 or 120 for this. These undergates look like I could do it. That's a large kit though, isn't it? Man, I'm starting to think it doesn't matter. Which one feels better? I think I do better with this, so this is what I'll use. I don't think I need that anymore. Alright, so next up, I use hobby knife to clean all this up. Yay! Suppose I can put this here. Well, actually, no, I can't, because I need to do something else to them anyway. the first one I dealt with, yes. Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, that's all of those parts ready. Except for cleaning up the panel lining! Yay! How annoying! Okay. I'm just doing 16 things multiple times. Had to cut out 16 pieces. Had to remove gates from 16 pieces. Had to remove undergates from 16 pieces. Had to remove knobs from 16 pieces. Had to panel line 16 pieces. And now I'm cleaning up the panel lining on 16 pieces. Yay! Then I'll have to put 2 stickers on each piece as well, by the way. During assembly. So yeah, I think assembly is gonna take a while. In fact, I may not get to assembly today. We'll see how long it takes. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's 4 containers of parts to prep for assembly still. Having to do this 8 times is definitely, or rather, these parts that are part of a set of instructions that require doing 8 times. It's definitely the slowdown for this section. Oh, it played for all the songs. Alright then. I guess I go to playlists. Just go to favorites and start playing that. Yay! That's container number 2. Done and ready. So before I get to the next container, need to clear this up. Okay. It should be that relatively cleaned now. Force whatever it is further down. There we go. Okay. So the next container parts right here. Alright. I guess I'll do 2 containers again. The other container being for things that are undergated, because I can't really remove those with this one. pisses me off. Oh, come on. All that work is just sticking to it. What the heck? Stack electricity or something? So much of this is undergated. Finally, something that isn't undergated. Okay. Now I deal with these annoying undergates. So annoying. I'm mostly annoyed because I can't use these nippers if I want to keep using these nippers. I'm also annoyed because upon testing I realized I get a better, cleaner cut, which means less work with the hobby knife using this than if I used the PN125 or PN120. Now obviously that may not be completely accurate, but for the most part it seemed to be. But perhaps I should just test a bit farther. I don't know. I'm just annoyed. It really feels like the PN120 doesn't serve any purpose for the nippers I have. Once you have a certain... The idea was it would replace the STA 3.0. But so far it is actually inferior in some ways. For the weird use cases where I have to use this. So it kind of doesn't matter anymore. Now it could just be that I'm using it wrong. Also possible. Either way, I'm kind of annoyed. Which means at this point it's really just a backup. An expensive backup. I think what I should do is just commit to using them for moving under gates and see if it's actually better. Because for all I know it actually is better. It's just annoying having to figure all this out. Especially when the results are so varied. And when you know that you're using it incorrectly. Though technically I'm also using this incorrectly. I just haven't had an issue with this before. I don't know. I've heard a lot of people claim the PN120 is more durable than the Display SDA 3.0. I just don't like the idea of I decide to use something a certain way knowing it's outside of the use case. And after using it for X time it breaks because I used it outside of the use case. And be surprised that it happened because it's supposed to be more durable. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Alright, SV's parts ready for hobby knife. Before that, I'm going to take a quick break, so I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Again, as a reminder, I will not be going as long today as I normally do on Sundays. I have other things I have to do. So, personally, I think, depending on how long it takes, I'll likely just finish preparing all the parts. I won't actually get to assembling anything. That's going to be my guess on what happens today. Just to set some expectations. So I don't think any of these necessarily need anything done to them. So I'm just inspecting all the parts that did not have undergates and just making sure that we're all good to go. I'm pretty extra sure that they are. Whoops. Be careful with that. Alright, all that's left are the undergates. Yay. This will be somewhat similar to the previous runner. Get out. Whoops. I actually moved it. Anyway, I'll focus on the parts that I know have undergates first. And I guess I'll try the PN120. I don't know, I just feel that if the results aren't different enough or better enough over the display, then it's not worth using for this use case. Which means I don't know what use case is good for it at all. Because what's the point of it then? If there isn't really anything I can use it for that gives a better cut than the display, well, better enough cut, and something I wouldn't cut with this. So it doesn't make sense to me. Oh well. Same time, I guess it doesn't have to make sense. At least I have it. It's better to have something and not need it than need it and not have it. And should anything happen to one of my pairs of nippers, I would be able to use that one without having to wait for a new pair to arrive. So there is that benefit, I guess. Yeah, my problem is I still have to remove stuff, right? Because of how undergates work, there's no real benefit to using it's just so frustrating. And the only real reason to deal with some of the undergate with nippers is to reduce what all I have to do with hobby knife. Also, it's a bit of a reality check to have the PN120. I think one of the reasons I wanted it, in addition to trying to replace the display with it while keeping this for a primary one, is, let's just say hypothetically, that it turns out that the way I use this still eventually causes this to break. Right? Well, let's just say hypothetically that occurs. When I know that, and depending on how long that takes, I can decide if the quality of cut justifies the amount of lifespan I got out of it. And if it doesn't, then I can just use the PN120 instead. And the only reason to use it over this way would be the fact that it's left-handed. Alright, that should be all the parts we need to deal with undergates. Yeah, I don't know. It just feels stupid to use this for this. That's all. I think that's how I feel about it. I just feel stupid to use this for this. And even if I use the actual SPM 120 for ones that I can, it's not perfect, right? I still have to use a hobby knife. So at that point, it doesn't matter just a little bit how much more I have to use of the hobby knife. Like that. Yeah, I don't know. Just really feels pointless. That's all. This really feels pointless to using this for this use case. Yeah, even that, not really. It could also just boil down to how it's being used, but I really do feel that with this space is probably going to be better for this. Or rather, it's not better enough than the display to matter. It's sort of a vibe I get trying to use this. So that yes, it may be better than the display, maybe more durable than the display, hypothetically. But if it's not actually better, then it's not worth the extra effort of using it. I don't know. I do know the blade's definitely thicker. Well, at least parts of it are thicker than the display. And obviously there's more to durability than thickness, but I don't know. I think the problem is I could probably sit here and debate it all day long and still not reach a conclusion. And I think the only real reason is to be on true left-hand stuff as much as possible. And that outside of that, there isn't really much of a benefit. But I already have these, and I got them for free. I didn't pay for these. I used points for my credit card thing. So I didn't actually pay the money it cost to get these, even though it was, you know, basically as much as the SPN 120 was factoring in shipping and tax and stuff. So it's not that this was cheap, but I don't know. I really don't know what I want to do. I just really struggle to knowingly use things in an incorrect way when I know that it's supposed to use high quality, expensive thing within context or parameters of this hobby. Meanwhile, I don't mind giving this or using this poorly. I mean, it's got this right here, so I don't know. Just I have very conflicted feelings about it. I'm just gonna go ahead and say I don't need to trim those. I think what I should do is just decide one way or another and just stick to it and not think about it anymore. I think that's what I should do. And in reality, it probably benefits me more to use the PN 120 because it's also left-handed, and that was the whole point of getting it in the other thing was so I would be using left-handed things. So I think I should just use it because that's sort of what I wanted to do when I was planning to get these. Even if, having read how they're supposed to be used, I know it's not supposed to be used that way. I don't know. It just feels stupid. I'll have to check it if there's a guide for the display nippers, because if there is, I'm sure it says similar things. And if it says similar things, the only reason I would be treating the God Hand differently is because of a subconscious bias, but I'm just assuming that they're more fragile or something. Another thing I should do hobby-wise is get more of these knives. The benefit and appeal of having multiple of these is that I could have multiple that have clean blades, so then I just swap between them each build, and at the end of the build I go, okay, time to swap out blades on all of them and rinse and repeat. They aren't too expensive, so I could see buying a few more, you know, or try to think about how many times I might want to replace a blade during a build, and try to get enough so that I don't have to replace blades during a build and just replace them in between builds. So that's like a mega lazy way of doing things. It would also be cool if I could find the handles in different colors. To help differentiate between them better. Obviously I could do my own things to then mark them and stuff. I'd also have to decide at what point do I swap blades. Because they have a very nice sharpness to them that drops off real fast. And it just sort of stays meh from there on out. I'm still convinced it's slightly sharper than the regular sized, but it just drops off that much faster. Whereas the larger one starts at less sharpness but stays there a lot longer before it drops off. The obvious issue being it's a larger blade and therefore harder to control. And I just really like how small this one is. I almost wish there was one that was smaller actually. And that if there was one that was a bigger blade, it wouldn't be too much bigger, you know? Because in a lot of ways, for the sorts of stuff I use, the larger one is actually just too large, straight up. Because I don't want to have to be using just the tip of a blade or this much of the blade, but on the larger one, which means there's so much of the blade that's sticking out, which changes where I have to have or hold it and stuff, and I just don't like that idea. I think the size of the blade should fit the cut in some ways, you know? All right. So that's that one done. Next up is this one. Which also means there's really just, after this container, it's this one. So it looks like I may get to do some assembly today. At the very least, I could probably do a backpack unit assembly. Okay, I'll have 2 containers here again, because I know some of these are undergated. Literally gotta get used to that height difference. I don't think anything else here has an under gate. Oh, that's infuriating. I can't actually... Okay, fine. We'll put that over. Now that I know that it's in an awkward position, making it too difficult to cut with this, I'll cut it with the other one. I can sort of cut it from here, though. It's just so annoying. Alright. Now I swap over. 10x. This is a really cheap, I think it's 130 millimeter diameter magnifying glass off of Amazon. I forget how much it was, maybe $15 or so. See here. None of these parts will need anything. The rest will probably need some form trimming to find where it was. It was right here. It was in such an awkward position I couldn't use my nice god hands. Yes, as long as I deal with this, should be good to go. I have no idea. It wouldn't be hard to find if you searched Amazon. It's 130 millimeters diameter lens and 10x magnification. Just a traditional handle. Should be pretty easy to find with the results. Because it was one of the top results when I was searching for something. It doesn't have any sort of branding labeled on it directly. I would have to look up on my Amazon where I ordered it, and I can't do that from this device. But if you want to hop in my Discord or whatever, I could find a way to get the information to you. If you can't find it yourself. Or maybe what I'll do is I'll do a little YouTube short or something. Show what the setup actually looks like. And then have a link to the exact product in the description. Yeah, I'm very impressed with it. I did a test run, or a proof of concept test, with a much smaller magnifying glass. Which I've actually got over here. So here is the smaller one. This is, I believe, 75 millimeters. As you can tell, it has a 20x inside here. Now some of it is the distance relative to the webcam relative to here. So it's like, I don't have exact measuring, but it's, you know, at least 5 inches, 6 inches up from the desk. And a similar distance, maybe a bit more than that, from the camera itself. The nice thing is, because it's so cheap, if I mess it up enough, you know, like accidentally brush the blade against this and scratch it enough to where it looks really bad, it wouldn't be hard for me to replace it with another one. Or if I really, really wanted, I could have multiple of these on the same setup, just in different locations, and I move the camera around and still have a full zoom. But I've definitely maximized what this webcam can do, and using a magnifying glass like this provides so much more than what the webcam would be otherwise capable of. The only thing I could try to improve is lighting, but even then I've done all sorts of stuff to get all the glare off of it, so I have to do sort of to the side lighting. It's crazy how small the 75mm is compared to the 130mm though. And this is literally right next to it. It's ridiculous. And this is less than double the size, but even then, it's massive. But I could do things like this and make things even bigger. Which is kind of crazy to think about. Actually, let's try something for giggles. So this is the decals. As you can tell, there's some really tiny ones. But if I do this, does it make it any easier to see? It does, yes. So what you're seeing, they're blown up right here, are the absolute tiniest of the decals. That's crazy, actually, that I can just do that. And then over here is what it looks like with 0 magnification. And even that is still zoomed in, because I've zoomed in the webcam a lot to achieve this effect. So a magnifying glass does a lot of heavy lifting to provide a really clear close-up image that otherwise is simply impossible on a basic USB webcam. I really like it. I only recently added this to my setup. I was trying to figure some stuff out and I just got annoyed that it was so hard for a stream to see some of the stuff I was doing. And as I had done more research into traditional cameras like DSLR or mirrorless and the different lenses for those, different, I think they're called filters for the lenses and stuff, and it was just going to be very expensive to replace existing webcam with a better camera to do a sort of close-up stuff I want it to do. And this magnifying glass, which I thought would just be a compromise, has turned into something way better. This has been a very great idea that I came up with, and it has paid off really well. Five centimeters away from your eyes. That's crazy. I know there are different head-based things you can wear that really properly zoom stuff in. Of course, then the issue is it's right up against your face and you have to wear something on your head and blah blah blah. I know they make these larger things. It's like this table stand where you're putting stuff underneath the stand, and you know, maybe it's as high as this or maybe a little bit lower, but it's a larger field of view with even more stronger magnification sometimes. Also, for my specific use case, this is so stream can see what I'm doing. So I have zero magnification for my own eyes. The angle of this is directly facing down, which means it's directly in line with the camera itself, which means that at this angle I see literally nothing out of it. Just a blurb of some other thing that's parallaxed all the way over there. It's like looking at a pool from an angle, and you just don't see what's directly underneath. Yeah, that's the other thing. Magnification is weird for your eyes, for sure. And at that point, I wonder how common or comfortable people would be doing stuff where they aren't directly looking at what they're handling. Just a hypothetical, let's say you got some massive TV, you know, like 42 inches or 50 inches or whatever, and you have a, you know, somewhere that's easy on your head to look at, and then you use a setup similar to this, and you just blow it up massively on the TV, but it's so zoomed in already and stuff that you can see it really well. And would something like that be justifiable enough for people to do it? Because I was realizing I can sometimes see what I'm doing better if I glance over and look at my laptop than if I look directly at it. That would definitely be an interesting idea for a setup. I think it would really only make sense if someone primarily dealt in miniatures or things smaller than miniatures, where they really have to get some good detail and stuff. But then they would also be using things like miniature vices and hand stabilizers and stuff. I think it could work. And if you aren't directly having to look through the magnification with your eyes, then it also would reduce the eye strain. And at that point, what you're doing is you're getting glasses to, you know, filter out blue light from the display. I guess it also depends on where the screen is, too. Because depending on how you do it, or what you decided to do, you could get a smaller screen and mount it in such a way that it's closer to your face. And I'm not talking a massive screen, I'm talking something smaller, you know, like 18 inches or even less than that. But it still zooms everything in with the camera. Then you're looking through that instead. You could even possibly do it in such a way that whatever camera you're using is on the device. You know, like let's say your phone, for example. So you're zooming in with your phone, then it's through a magnifying glass, and the angle and position and stuff is such a way that it still would be like you're looking with your eyes. It's just a zoomed in view that you see on the display in front of your eyes instead. I wonder if that would be more ergonomically viable. But this is a ridiculous amount of setup to achieve, I think. I'm not sure if the end result is worth it. But it's definitely really cool what all you can do with a magnifying glass. Keeping in mind that a magnifying glass itself is mostly intended for use with human eyes versus camera lenses, which are designed to be used with a camera because of how a camera perceives things versus how a human eye does. So I have no idea how much of what I have been able to do with this magnifying glass can apply to other adjacent use cases where the setup is slightly different. I have no idea. All I know is I came up with something and I was able to get it to work, and I really like the result. But even this, you know, it's a bit... There's still a bunch of really small stuff that you can sort of see, but it would be nice to even blow that up farther. And that's where, like I was saying, using another one of these, once you dial it in, and look how incredible that is, right? Like, that's incredible compared to that, compared to this over here. Like there's just no way. So there's definitely ways I could try to improve upon this, I think, in the future. But for a simple initial setup, I am very satisfied with it. And I would be very curious one day, if I ever do get a mirrorless camera, if I can still use this with that. Because I have a feeling that my idea of how to use a camera lens won't exactly work in such a way that it would replace this in terms of quality and visuals and zooming in and stuff. There's a lot with how cameras work, with how the sensors on the camera frame itself, or camera body, and then the lens has to be, or that sensor has to be a certain distance from your subject, and that also depends on the type of lens. Some lenses are longer than others and blah blah blah. And so can I imagine working with a really nice camera and the camera itself being mounted the same height as my webcam, but then because of how long the lens is, to get that nice zoom, would the lens go down to here, and would I be able to justify that, right? Like, let's say where this magnifying glass is, where the lens is. Could I justify that? I don't know. It would block some other things I'd be able to see or wouldn't be able to see, and I don't know. So But yeah, so hopefully you're able to figure out a way to do what you want and make it easier on you. There has to be a way to do it. There has to be. And if I could just figure this out really fast, there has to be a way to do it, right? I will say this still is a bit of a compromise for some things, because it only covers so much area. It can pick up glare from the lighting above, it can collect dust and all this other stuff. Yeah, the lighting would have to be fundamentally different once a actual camera is incorporated into the setup. The current lighting I sort of get away with, and even this lighting I would like to have better. This is the ghetto setup of you know, you just use what you have on hand, and if it works well enough, you don't invest a bunch of money to make it slightly better. But with a actual camera, I would absolutely want to essentially completely redo the lighting from the ground up, probably. I don't think any of my current lighting would work well with a proper mirrorless camera. Except maybe the overhead lights. But even then, in reality, I may want to turn those off so I can fully control lighting. There are some things that the lighting could be better. The problem is, well, actually I can just show you right now. Hold on. Great example. Hold on. Okay, so two things. So here is what I have built so far. See that? So you can see sort of that there are some photo etched types of stickers on places of it. And the problem is that because of the way the lighting works, you can't really see good details on some of those unless I move it around and angle it where it's offset a little bit so I can pick up the light, because the light isn't direct where the camera is picking up, if that makes sense. So that's one example. So when I use, let me move it here real quick. So when I use this top-down vise, you know, where it's directly top-down so you all can see what I'm doing, you can't clearly see the sticker that well, and sometimes because of the height, some of the shadow moves up, so I have to do this weird angle thingy, but then I can't see it very well. And so it has to be this weird compromise, being able to see it myself, apply the thing, and then moving this around so you can actually see what I did better. So that's one example of how, because the lighting is where it is, I can't really show things that well. And then the other great example is these photo etch stickers themselves. You can't really see it that well, and even if I try to angle it, there's some markings on it that are just impossible to see on the camera, and I don't know why. Okay, now you can see some of the numbering, sort of. So this is another example of something that just is invisible, essentially, because the lighting isn't in such a way that you can pick up that detail, even with this setup that I've created. So there are some instances, and then of course, you know, you've got the darker pieces like this, and because of the lighting, it's just really hard to see much of the detail of the parts during assembly and things like that. And so there are some places and ways where it could be improved. But as you said, for a lot of it, it is actually pretty decent. I'm just thinking of the other times where the benefit of magnification is the highest, where the lighting could be improved, basically. Let me move this model kit out of the way again. This lighting is definitely softer than it used to be. Before I used the magnifying glass, I had the light basically right behind the camera, pointing straight down, and it looked really good. But the magnifying glass picked up too much glare, so I had to offset. Yep, it's all about compromise and trying to do the compromises in such a way that it doesn't compromise too much. So I've got some stuff directly above the camera that's blocking out some light that would otherwise glare in, and it's also sort of done in such a way like so you can see some of that shadow, right? Some of that's from what's blocking stuff. And if I try to just filter out the light, you know, with like parchment paper or whatever to try and reduce the glare, then you have this weird translucent cover over the entire thing, and it looks really wonky. So there is definitely a lot of compromise involved. And the other catch-22 is let's say hypothetically, right, that I have an actual proper camera, and then I put, I think it's called a CPL filter, a polarity filter, to reduce reflections that the camera lens itself brings in. It wouldn't change the fact that the magnifying lens still has those, you know? So it gets really complex really quickly, depending on how many issues you're trying to solve at once. But I will say it's definitely a lot better than it was before. Let me just for giggles where let's see. 1 second. Okay. Let me find an image. This might be a good image. Yeah, this is gonna be a good image. So here is an example of what the view used to look like before magnifying glass. And I believe that is the smaller 75mm magnifying glass out to the side. So imagine the view being that static for the entire build, as opposed to what it looks like now. And that's what it used to be. So you can already tell it's a huge difference. And even if I were to zoom in like I have right now, it still doesn't really look that good without the magnifying glass. Yeah, that's true. The main reason I haven't explored those yet is because the magnification level isn't as high. Also, we're a lot more heavy. Weight is an issue that restricts how I have things set up. And some other things I forget. I think it was price. But now that I know that this works, maybe I could look into that a bit more. The handle would have to be able to fit the magic arm I use. And some other stuff. But it is true that I could consider that sort of stuff. Or, and this might be a bit silly, I could probably DIY add lighting around this magnifying glass itself that points down. That's also something I could do, is I could just add lighting to a magnifying glass I already have. Or, if it needs to be less direct, I wonder if I could have the lighting be behind me facing down somehow. That might also work. Overall, I think this upgrade to add on a magnifying glass cost me a total of around $40 at most. So for that price, the benefit I got out of it is really high. It's not far enough in on the blade. I can't justify cutting with this. I can't bring it in any farther anywhere else. Actually, hold on, there we go. I can justify that one. Whoops. So the good news is this was the last of the parts that I need to prepare for assembly on this section. Let's see here then. It is really nice using these god hands though. There is so little I have to actually do after removing stuff with them. I wonder why this wasn't undergated. Seems like the perfect thing to undergate. Maybe after assembly, not much of it's visible. So it doesn't matter. I don't know. You know, because this part's a great example. Because this glove is black, this part is black, and the lighting is not top down, it's harder to make out what I'm doing. But I wonder how much of that's also me just trying to chase perfection. There will be a point of diminished returns for amount of effort and money involved. And I will say that at this point, anything else I do, I will have already hit diminished returns, because simply having this exist as part of a setup and removing the majority of the glare is already the hugest improvement I can do for what stream sees. Anything beyond this to improve it more is going to be diminished returns. That was the other issue. I couldn't find a lot of the kind that have lighting in them that were larger than this. Because who wouldn't want something that's even bigger, right? And I just was really struggling to find something. I'm sure it exists, but then it weighs too much to hold it up the way I'm holding this up. So then I'd have to change how it's held up. And you know, at that point, it's almost too much effort to really call it a justifiable improvement. Either way, I'm very satisfied. Alright, I think those parts are finally ready. So what I will do is I will go ahead and put these in container so that I can more easily clean off this instruction booklet. Alright, now I can actually adjust this to show what I'll be doing. Now there are some stickers involved with this. So already the first step, once the sticker, then over here we've got some stickers. And then over here are the remaining two photo etch stickers. So this small little bit of assembly may take a bit of time, and it will most likely end up being the last thing I do on stream today. This has ended up needing to be a shorter stream so I can do other things today before I have to head back to work tomorrow. It's sort of looking like it's implying that I would be better off assembling before adding the sticker. Ah, yes. Yes, I see now. Okay. So this part here obviously is hollow. So the idea of adding a sticker there is impossible, which means it's not actually there it gets added. It's here. And it makes more sense to have the part assembled first so that you can finish assembly and not mess up the sticker. Okay. Got this part. I believe it goes like this. And then this part goes like this, followed by these. So that works pretty well. There we go. This is a nice color separation. Okay, so sticker goes on this, and I can decide if I want to apply it now, or I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and attach to this. The justification being it will allow me to more easily clamp down on this rather than this. So now I clamp down onto this, so then I can apply the sticker. So it's sticker 12. I'm going to adjust this so we can still see which sticker is needed. Let's see here. I think holding onto this part might be a better choice. Yeah, not enough contact. It'll make more sense. Do something like that. There we go. Now just make sure all these are out of the way. I have full access to that. There it is. Now I get out the various things I'll need. Don't need it, but there it is. Next, it was saying sticker 12, which is this red one here. Go ahead and take my glove off. More dexterity. This over here so I can grab it with my right hand. Because it's symmetrical, it shouldn't matter which way I do it. Oh no, it messed up. It somehow tore. See if I can get it from this side. Nope. That's not the sticker. It's completely been removed from the adhesive part. Hold on. Problem is I don't think it's adheres to anything. I can sort of see it now. Oh. Okay. Yeah, that's not good. Darn it! I'll try to apply this anyway. Maybe it is actually correct. I could just... It's distinctly different from all the other stickers, basically. And I've had this issue with some other stickers before on a different build. So I know it's not quite the sticker. As intended. But maybe it will still work. So on this other build I was doing, I had this issue where the 3D part, the thick part, would separate from the adhesive part in such a way that the very bottom of the adhesive part was there, but the basically half of this part was stuck to it, or whatever fabric thing. So right here you can see this is the fabric, or paper, or whatever, and so it was like part of it came up or didn't, and the part that's actually sticky was stuck somewhere else and completely separated from the metallic 3D part. And that was a real struggle I had trying to solve. And I could easily tell it was like that because it was much thinner and it was very pliable. Whereas a lot of these are a bit, for lack of a better term, thicker. They don't really bend as easily. So it's when it's really floppy and really thin, you can tell it's not, something's wrong. And so for this one, it really felt like something was wrong. So we'll see if it still works. Because if it does, I'll just leave it alone and pretend it will stay in place. Until it doesn't, and then I'll figure out what to do. I don't think this is actually reaching if I try to do that. That is, to my knowledge, the only sticker on this part. Let me get this. All right. So you can sort of see here, maybe. Yeah, it's not gonna let me zoom in more enough to show what I'm talking about. You can visually see that it's torn and stuff. So maybe what happened was I pulled up some of the thing underneath it at the same time. Because when I peeled this back, you could tell, or I could tell rather, where there were some cuts and stuff. Anyway, definitely not ideal. It does seem to have worked, I think. I'm not going to do anything stupid to try and make it fall off. But if doing, very simple things, it stays here, we'll say it's good to go. So dodged a bullet there, potentially. Or maybe this one was just naturally thinner or something, I don't know. But it was definitely inconsistent from the other ones I had done. Okay. So the next part is this one. It's the same on both sides. It is as far as it can go. So there we go. And next, so these two parts. This part, I think, which can't decide which one it is at once here. I think it's this one. I think this is one at once. Okay, so just saying that first off, we slap this into place. It is now in place. And it's saying that this part goes under here. Like this. But it can somehow move, I guess, is the idea. Anyway, there it is. And it wants me to add on the other one. And this can still move. Not sure what purpose that has, but there it is. Ah! There's no thing being down here. So it's moving to expose or hide that. Okay. Time for more stickers. This time right here. And right here. Okay. See if I can get this to do what I want here. Okay, so that's not gonna work. So we need to do that. That should be good enough. Okay. So, where did the toothpick go? Did I drop the toothpick again? don't see the toothpick anymore. I didn't put it up. There it is. I had to stand up to be able to see it. Okay, and it wants 21 and 20. So I think 21. Goes over here. There it is. Good enough for me. Oh, that's a nice view. Got it. Here we go. All right, let's say it's good enough. There we go. Oh, okay. That's gonna be awkward because I don't have a... I'll have to rotate this basic line. In fact, let's just go ahead and do that now. See if this works. Come on, you. Doesn't exactly work the way I want. I don't know how else to do it. Okay, so the grills. Let's move this a bit here. Let's see what I'm talking about. This. So it needs the photo etching stuff, and it says number 6 goes on the right hand side. All right. So this is number 6. Yes. Nope. This is number 6, which means once it's like that, doesn't wake up. Okay, hold on. It's number 6 and number 5. Okay, so this is number 6, because once it's there, it lines up properly. And number 5 is over here. Okay, I understand better now. Alright, there it is. It goes like this. I'm realizing now I can't actually put it into place, can I? Hold on. Of course it is. Okay, so the way this works, I use this to guide it into place. Like so! Now you can sort of see it, I guess. There you go. Let's see if that works. Doesn't want to stay. It's just moving a lot. Dang it! I may have to fix this one. I see your problem now. That's why it messed up. Okay. This is probably. I may need to actually do something then. Yep. Yep. Okay. Oxygen dried it out. That's the problem. It's not going to stay. Okay. So there's a way to make this stick, and it's gonna be a massive pain. So I think I'll just have to end it here for right now. Yeah, let's just end it here. So for context, what happened is this dried out. I forgot to not even see it anymore. That's how forgotten it is. There was a plastic film on one side that you just cover it up. That's supposed to keep from drying out. It dried out, and so now the adhesive side basically is just dried up. It's not sticky at all, which means that this isn't going to stay in place. It's just going to fall right out. So to fix that, I would need to remove the adhesive from the side and then apply new adhesive. I have the things required to do both of those tasks. It just takes some setup, and I haven't done it before. So with that in mind, I'm going to end it here and probably figure all that out off stream, as it's not going to be fun and maybe not necessarily something I want to do directly right here. Yeah, so that's where I'm going to end it for today. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed my first session on the backpack assembly. I got almost all the way through the backpack unit assembly itself. I'm missing 2 parts because I elected to go ahead and try to attach the photo etch stickers first, since it made logical sense at the time. Because of where they attach would make it harder to clamp this down with a vise. Unfortunately, photo etching stickers have dried out on the adhesive side, and now I need to DIY a fix. I already have everything needed for that fix, but I have to do it myself, and that's gonna take some setup, which I'm not going to do right now. I have other things I have to do today to get ready for work, to be ready for tomorrow. And so I'm going to end it here. All the other parts are fully ready for assembly for the rest of this backpack. So that's quite nice. So next weekend, I should be able to continue. Throughout the week, if I have time, I may try and fix these production stickers off stream. We shall see. Anyway, hope you all have a good rest of your day/weekend, and I will catch you all later.